Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Let's take another look here at SUI, see what's going on. 196 at this point here, dropped below that tentative support level at about $2 or 198. And what we're seeing here is the price action trend recover to break back through that previous support as in a resistance. And we're going to see here soon if that is a possibility. But good news is this coin, if I recall correctly, didn't have a ton of liquidation to the downside. There was more to the upside. And that's usually more of an incentivizing scenario here. So let's take a quick look. And again, it's pretty heavy in either direction, but we're kind of closer to the upper range here with that $2.10 for liquidation above the price. Either way you look at it, we got to respect the fact that 170 is a massive area of liquidation, as we saw previously where, hey, 170 to $2.10. Remember that anomaly that wasn't supposed to happen? It did happen. So we got to presume the worst and expect the worst, hope for the best. But at this point here, from a liquidation standpoint, we're slightly closer to upper liquidation. It would make more sense to go up, especially with Bitcoin likely to retest, in my personal opinion, the $80,000 range here in the relative near future. Those are just my thoughts here, of course. We're seeing a lot of convergences on the 4-hour time frame, and that's that transitionary time frame. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But there's no doubt about it, we're still below descending trend lines, and we're not in a position right now where we can take any longs with confidence. They're always very high risk if you're taking a long right now, and you got to watch them close to make sure you take profit targets are fairly close, right? And kind of keep your trades tight, if you will. Either way you look at it here, liquidation delta kind of shifting up and down as we see. No extremities here. We can see that for the most part, 100 million, maybe 200 million in liquidation delta to the downside. So more bears are in play than bulls at this point on this coin. Having said that, though, we can see 210 to 220 is that above us price action for open interest or points of control, depending on how you look at it. 185 is that lower support. So we saw a lot of entries at 185. So it does reinforce that support at 185 that we discussed yesterday as a possibility. So when we look at this descending trend line, I'm going to save you the time on the daily time frame. There's nothing here that's bullish. Every single daily time frame on every single altcoin is extremely, just absolutely abysmal. There's nothing that you can see. There's no hidden divergences. Trust me on this, the daily time frame sucks. And that just kind of reinforces the riskiness of taking long trades and just how more difficult it is to find profit going up than down. But keep in mind, every time Trump sends out a tariff tweet, we get 5-10% correction to the downside. And it's just happened probably, 30, 40 times in the last 60 days. It's absolutely ridiculous, super difficult to trade. So please understand that you're not alone if you're having some difficulty. It happens to the best of us. Either way, the 4-hour time frame, we're still below the descending trend line, right? So we got to treat this with respect and understand that being below the 50-day SMA is generally construed as not necessarily a bearish sign, it's just not bullish, okay? That's the key takeaway here. Being above the 20, which we are starting to work towards here, getting closer to, is a good short-term trend reversal. 4-hour time frame also, what you want to look for is money flow index being above the RSI, which we see here so far. We're also above our SMA and the RSI itself, with stochastic trying to swing down. So truth is, this is not as clean as, like, just say, for example, Solana or Bitcoin, 4-hour time frames. But it is still positive nonetheless, all right? So by no means am I telling you to take a long because of this, but those are good incentivizing reasons to consider a long in the face of a market that isn't so crazy as it is right now. Having said that, though, Ichimoku cloud, we're still below the cloud until we break above here, this $2 threshold. I think it's still a little premature to take a long, but once more, I'm taking a very similar trade setup with Solana that hasn't broken through its cloud yet either. So there's a lot of little things that should factor in here positively for this coin once we get above that level. But once more, I say this jokingly, but all truth, we get another tariff tweet, we're screwed. Simple way to understand it. So statistically, you are going to find more favorability by considering a short position just in general with the market right now. But that's how the market makers are, though. They've got us to this extreme pain point wherever all the bulls are like, okay, screw it. I'm going to be a bear now. I'm going to go ahead and shift momentum. I'm going to take some shorts. And just as soon as everyone does that, they pump the price action up, right? So this just feels like one of those situations because we had a pretty significant double bottom for Bitcoin. And I'm getting the feeling that Bitcoin is going to run towards 80 to 84,000 again. we see that, SUI should also follow suit and run towards its key levels. Cool. All right, so that's kind of what we got there. Hope that makes sense. I'll post a playout chart in our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. It'll already be available for you here, so check it out, of course. I'm just kind of bringing that to your attention in case you don't know. Otherwise, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Deeply appreciate you watching. And let me know in the comments below, what is your position on SUI? Are you long, are you short, or are you just kind of hanging out, not planning to take a trade? Either way, I wouldn't fault you for, regardless, whatever you're considering. I hope you have a good one. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.